Okay, there we go. Kyle Shaddeau, what's up?
Hello. It's good to be here, Atlas. Thank you for inviting me. I really like the setup and everything. It looks great.
So damn pumped for this conversation. What a dope highlight reel we watched of your work.
Appreciate you.
I'm so pumped to unpack the creativity of that, the artistry of that, and just the art of video and communication dissemination in general. We have that one to unpack. We have the other music videos that you've done to unpack. We have the highlighting of other creators and artists.
Promotional videos,
Promotional videos. Yep.
Personality. Capturing people's personality on camera is definitely
Yes.
a fact. I love to do it.
Yes.
It's fun.
It's exactly what we do here. We capture the expression of someone's consciousness in a conversation, and you do it in a very similar way, but then you repackage it into something that takes a long time to layer, put the right audio, put the right video, put the right transitions, animations, all of this different.
There's a lot of
stuff into
aspects
it.
to look at when you're making something, anything really. You can use your cell phone even, and it's still not. It's complicated, but it's definitely it's an acquired skill, I think.
Yeah, and we have actually also a cool breakdown of Kyle's premiere project that we're going to show as well, which will be good, and that'll hopefully give some insight into the creative process for those that are getting deeper into it themselves.
Right.
Let's jump in from the journey perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through who you were growing up, how you actually got interested in what you care about today.
Okay. I was born in Alameda, California, so the Bay Area. We're both Bay Area people.
That's right.
And I love it down there. It was great, but it doesn't snow. So when I was in fourth grade, I think I moved to a place called Grass Valley, California, which is up north more. It does snow there. And all my friends were like, well, send us the snow. Like, just make snowballs and send it in the mail to us. I'm like, that's not going to work. Snow's going to melt. So I did the next best thing. I got a little handheld camcorder and started filming the snow. And I think my first narrative was me building a snowman. So, like, I'd take different cuts and kind of splice it together. And it's before Sony Vegas, but it was old editing software. So I just, like, chopped it together. And then that's basically when I knew I just wanted to do it, So that was kind of the beginning. And then from then I went to school. I actually got work in 2008 in Grass Valley as a videographer / wedding DJ. So that was a lot on the table, hauling all that equipment and stuff and just trying to make it work. I would not recommend anybody do that ever. It's a terrible. But I wanted to stay with the videography aspect of it. So I went to school in the Bay and then finished that, and now I'm in LA, of course, because everybody goes to LA. But now everybody's moving out of LA, so we'll see what happens.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, though.
Well, like 3 weeks ago we came through, and a lot of other people are still coming through.
Mm-hmm.
In your journey, I thought it was interesting that you were describing how there was this friendship from people that don't experience snow that then were like, get us that taste of how that feels to have that snow. And then you put it together in a video, and that was kind of one of the early takes. And then I also appreciated how you're saying, like, there's a big complicated process with videographers becoming their own sovereign independent creators, as we're going to talk about. And what happens is that sometimes you get brought into industries like the wedding industry and stuff like that to make.
That's where everybody starts, man. Like, you can't start where you want to start. It's all about the journey,
Yeah.
Like, you gotta go from point A to point B, and there's no way to jump that. I tried. Believe me, it's impossible.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, when I first came to the Bay Area, I was very much like, I was 19 and I was like, where are the entrepreneurs that are going to just take me under their wing and help me execute all my ideas?
Right.
And it was like no shortcuts. It's literally grinding like 5 years to figure out the North Star and how to execute it.
Exactly.
And the same thing in that journey for you. You got to start like in that wedding industry and kind of like, And what's interesting is that you pick up a lot of really good experience in
Exactly.
that process.
I learned so much, you know, and the common agreement is that like film school, it's good for some things, but honestly, the best way to learn is to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
meeting people, networking is definitely an important aspect of that. Getting on board, like going to shoots and just seeing how things work, I think is one of the most important things.
Yes.
Yeah.
The actual experiential learning that occurs when it's life in general is the best school. And so like to actually put yourself in the positions like you're saying, where if you are an aspiring videographer, you really have to put yourself on the sets. You have to put yourself behind the camera. You have to put yourself behind the editing software. You have to put yourself in that struggling process where you're like, where's the best free audio libraries, and like, how do I maybe collaborate with someone that actually makes music themselves, or maybe I should pick up some music skills myself, and like, how do I find the best transitions, animations? How do I make those? Like, you got to put yourself, you know, when like literally when you've never made a video for a client before, you have to like write on your website like, I make videos for clients.
Exactly. Yeah, you kind of have to lie at the beginning, which is, I mean, that's the thing, but it's true though. You kind of have to put yourself out there. You definitely have to put yourself out there. And honestly, the wedding jobs I had ups and downs, but I learned more than I think I did at film school. Film school is great for networking and meeting people, but honestly, weddings fucked me up in such a way that I'm okay with it now. Like, you bring me on set where everything's going wrong and everything's fucking up, and I'm fine. I roll through it. You know.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that is necessary to learn.
It's interesting that you say that your learning came a lot from outside of film school, which is super interesting to think about.
Big time.
Yeah. And I generally agree that I think for the vast majority of people's North Star pursuits, that they must focus a vast majority of their time and energy on learning outside of the sort of centralized collegiate system. And that the centralized collegiate system works for a specific subset of fields that work even in fields like medicine. It's cool that there's this systematized process for people to become doctors, but at the same time, how often does Western medicine have absolutely nothing to do with nutrition or Eastern medicine or meditation or spirituality?
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of one path you can take, and I think with the medical field, I think it is important for most doctors to go through school and the rigorous training of that stuff. And I would say the same for film school, except now you can learn everything on YouTube. You know,
there you go.
It's all about, it's like how.
And when does film school send you in experientially is the other thing, because like with entrepreneurship school, right, business schools, you know, you spend all of that time on all those classes on entrepreneurship, but when do you actually go and do the apprenticeships when you're actually there?
It's the numbers. It's like the political numbers side of things rather than actually going out and doing it.
And that's the same thing I would say with video, is that if I throw you into the actual forcing function of the environment, and I give you a deadline, and I say that in 2 weeks you have to have captured content and put music and transitions and cut it really well, layered it, done that, and you have a due date in 2 weeks, and that we're going to have the whole quote class, or if your one-on-one mentor is reviewing that with you and giving you that feedback. If I make you do one of those videos every 2 weeks, if I force you to make a YouTube channel, and that you have to, in 1 year, you have to make one video every 2 weeks. By the end of that year, you're going to have a YouTube channel with 25 videos on it. 26. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And that you're going to have this like catalog. I would say that, correct me if I'm wrong, would you say that what we just talked about there, is that the best forcing function to get people to become better at videography is, say, make a video every 2 weeks, publish it on YouTube,
absolutely,
for a year?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's the best way to do it, and I would tell anybody that, you know. I know people that have full-time jobs that are starting to get interested in sort of starting their own freelance, like making music videos and this kind of thing. And that's the first thing I would say. Like if you never picked up a camera before, it doesn't matter how good the camera is. You know, you pick it up and you go shoot things, right? Like that's the only way to do it, and do it with other people too, because that's a huge thing too. Yeah.
And then do cool things. I like this a lot. You kind of started introducing it, which is that on this forcing function of the year of doing a video every 2 weeks, what you can begin doing is you can do cool things like saying, okay, one time, the first video, I'm going to go out maybe by myself and I'm going to capture maybe the beach or the redwoods or whatever nature stuff maybe, or whatever.
Right.
Or maybe your the day in the life videos. Maybe you just make a day in the life of your own life video, okay?
Mm-hmm.
For the first video. The second video that you make, that second 2 week period, I like this idea of now recruit 3 friends, and then maybe you go with your 3 friends to capture the life of your group and the uniqueness of your friends in the group.
I like that. This might be my 2021 to-do list.
This is the masterclass,
right
bro.
here. Yeah,
we're
exactly,
literally making
do it.
the masterclass.
Motivational.
And then the next one, the third one, could be, now, why don't we pick someone that really resonates with our North Star?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like our family member had recently had a pathology develop in their body in a specific field of science, and that now we become more familiar with that specific field of science. And so maybe we take something like Alzheimer's and neurodegeneration, because maybe our family member had that happen.
Expand your
to
own
them.
knowledge and sort of bring it to other people.
And then go. So not only in that third video, it would be to have done a lot of research on neurodegeneration and Alzheimer's, and then to incorporate some of these videos of like neural networks, and incorporate some of the videos of what these beta amyloid plaque tangles actually look like that inhibit the neural communication process.
Spanish to me.
I know, bro. I know. Me too. From the neuroscientists that actually study this, and it would be interesting then to also go on site to an actual practicing neuroscientist that works in the field of neurodegeneration and interview them, and then take 30 seconds or 60 seconds or a couple minutes of the great points that they bring up and put that in the video. So now we're making a really good third video.
Yeah, exactly. I love that free form. And then, based on how that growth is just on those 3 videos, that would be incredible to see where that goes in the future. And that's how it works, right? That's how you got started. And it's basically you now you have a following, and it's all, your place looks amazing, and look at this setup,
Hell yeah. Yeah. And
great.
likewise with you, is that you get this kind of slow and steady over time iterative process from capturing the snowman and that process all the way to up to film school and up to the iterations working for clients in LA. All right. Beautiful. I'm glad we literally mapped out the beginning of a masterclass there. I love it. Okay.
Fantastic.
I love it. Okay. So take us to what happened with that trigger. You're finishing up the film school, you're doing more of these iterations, you've done wedding stuff, you've done these different things. But now you're starting to kind of figure out, okay, well, what's Kyle's North Star? And like, what would it mean if I didn't have to do maybe wedding stuff, but if I could transition to doing more work that was oriented with my ethos? And how did the moment come to LA? Walk us through that process.
Okay. So there's a specific moment that I can remember that was the turning point for me. I was doing a job in the Bay, and I was moving. I was in the process of moving, so I had a bunch of, everything was in the back of my car. And San Francisco can be kind of a sketchy place. So I made the mistake of, parking on the street, and with everything I own, my cameras, my laptops, everything, hard drives, everything. And I got back to my car and it's all gone.
Yeah.
You got
your car broken into and everything stolen.
Everything. My toothbrush, my clothes, everything. So that was definitely a turning point. I was like, okay, this is either
that happened to me multiple times in San Francisco, and it was cars broken into. It was just backpacks stolen from underneath of my feet.
I mean, tripods,
super
backpacks,
interesting.
and the worst time too, I was moving, so literally almost everything I owned was in that car.
But then that dematerialized you and cleansed you completely.
Exactly. It was a humbling experience, and I took a step back and I looked at what I wanted to do, and I thought, like, there's no way I can't do anything other than what I've been doing, because I love it so fucking much.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to turn around from that. I'm not going to get a job at a gas station, although for temporarily, it's up in the air. But I'd immediately hit up some friends that lived in other places, and my friend Brandon lived in Los Angeles, and he's like, yeah, you can crash on my couch. So I just came out here and with like $200, and that's where I am now. Things have been going well.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What a great shout out Brandon and the homies that
Thank you, Brandon. Yes.
that make this happen, where you ping them and they're like, yeah, come move into the new chapter of your life, and I'll be conducive of that with my couch or whatever.
Exactly.
And then also that spirit in you, which is basically this, the leap of faith, which it's a tough thing, but you have to trust the fact that you're following your intuition, you're following your North Star, you're following that big vision. And so that way you go into the chaos. In this case, it's a lot of chaos. It's $200 in a brand new city, sleeping on a couch, trying to make it.
I would recommend it to anybody, honestly.
Exactly.
I would say if
Exactly.
you haven't had an experience like that,
You have to.
do your best to make yourself uncomfortable and see what happens. Like, you got to find your passion. You got to find your North Star. Like, as you say, I think that's the most important thing. And it's not about like where you think it'll bring you to. Like, I don't know where this is going to take me.
Yes.
It's all about the journey.
That's right.
So the ups and downs of roller coaster, you learn a lot along the way, but I think it's definitely worth it for everybody to experience.
We just on yesterday's show with Josh, we were talking about how on that North Star, which is basically one of the most important metaphysical aspects to reality, is that for the individual to have identified what their own unique artistic expression is in the world, and for them to be in pursuit of that transcendent noble aim that drives meaning and purpose on a daily basis for them. What's interesting is that we have the identification of it generally, and then we're very loose about the process and the journey. Sure. And we're in a moment-to-moment place of love and peace and bliss as much as we can, channeling those highest forms of consciousness along the way.
It's a messy process. It's not a clean one. Yeah. There's nobody else. Like, if you're doing life this way, I would recommend, if you're living life like a freelancer, right? If you're doing what you love, then there's no set path. Like, there's people that have done it in every which way, and every one of them has failed in different points in time. So nobody's doing it the perfect way, And it's the best. You just learn as you go.
I'm glad that you bring up that very yes theory slogan of seek discomfort. It's really important. I completely agree. Go outside of that comfort zone with those experiences, especially when it comes to pursuit of the North Star, and especially when it comes to moving to places that you think are more conducive for that North Star, like the metro areas or whatnot.
Totally.
So let's talk about, when exactly did you end up in LA getting more involved with photography and picking up these gigs? Yep.
So photography is a fun thing I like to do. I like to play with light and stuff. It's kind of like a hobby, even though they're basically the same thing. Photos are it's a simpler version of video in my mind. But when I moved here, I just started doing I hit up some background acting places, and you get on set and people are doing it there, and you get to see how things work more in Los Angeles, and a lot of background acting is just walking around. But anyway, let me talk about these pictures. These are for music videos, and these are sort of just off the top. We didn't plan these shots out. This is like in between takes for a music video. But I just like see this lighting, and I just spot it, whip out the little camera, and take a picture.
I love stuff like this.
Thank you.
It's almost like every single one of these captures is very deeply artistic. I love it.
Thank you. And this is my friends Tyler and Catherine. Shout out Tyler, Catherine. They just
capturing the moment of love.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it takes a while to become this good at. It takes a lot of iterations of Yeah.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
become this good. It's been how many years of even just photography and setting
Well,
those up and
I started like at 7 years old.
exactly. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got my first job professionally in 2008, October of 2008. So it's been like what,
12 years.
12 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So 12 years to learn really how to put stuff like this together and also do it in post as well. There's a lot of
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Is it
It's a constant
Lightroom
learning.
and Photoshop?
Lightroom, I barely use Photoshop unless
Mostly
I
Lightroom.
I mean,
yeah.
Lightroom has everything you need.
You
now.
need in it.
Yeah, it's you can remove things, you can kind of edit pictures like that. But
So
Adobe,
well done.
Adobe's the shit. Shout out Adobe.
Yeah, for sure.
They have
Adobe
everything.
Creative Suite.
Creative
for sure.
Suite is very important.
It's so crucial
Another
for
BTS
artists.
shot. Portraiture. I love doing portraits. Playing with lights, headshots are fun.
So then, okay, so over time, I want to just also indicate over time, you become more and more, again, it's like, this would be another, in a sense, we could make another quick like masterclass, which is like literally post one picture a day onto Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? There's your next masterclass. It's like you have to forcing function yourself to get really good at taking these profound photographs and then bringing them into Lightroom, editing them really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
If you do one a day, you're
gonna get good at it.
get good
that's
at it.
that's what I would say
Yeah.
for followers to do.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you look at, like, for example, first of all, you know, you really need to be more creative. Like for me, like I wouldn't realize like we can find such a profound photo of, is this literally in the rain?
No, this is inside. This is an indoor rain room.
I love this. Wow, there are literally indoor rain rooms.
This is Los Angeles, man. You have everything here.
That's so interesting.
Yeah,
so,
FD Studios in downtown LA has an indoor rain room. You could bring cars into it. Great for music videos.
great for music videos, yeah.
You actually see them in a lot of music videos. Now I'll watch a music video. I'm like, I know where that is.
I know where that
this place
is.
and this place.
Yeah.
Ton of them.
Oh my gosh, indoor rain rooms. There you go. And so there you go. You're like, okay, we're going to express an essence. Like we talk about this on the show, that each of our individual guests that come on the program are their own unique aromas, like flowers that they express, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, these images and videos are also their own unique aromas that they're expressing. Mm-hmm. This is super unique, where you have the indoor rain room and you have I don't even know how you managed to get that crazy like lighting.
The lighting, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely look at Batman. Look at a lot of those movies that how they light. Like now, if I watch a movie, it kind of ruins the experience for other people because I'm like looking at the lighting and like, oh, that's how they did that. You know, like when they like in Batman, if you look at the rain, it's all backlit. So it's like backlighting anything is a great idea in my opinion. Yeah, it just makes everything look so good.
Which you do also in this one, which I love a lot. You have the backlight specifically behind the head, which makes it look like it's glowing. Exactly, the person's glowing. Yeah.
And he also has a fill light on the coming from the left hand side.
Yes.
That makes him look like he's glowing. Yep, so that's actually more tungsten than the backlight is. So I like. I mean, people say not to do it, but mixed lighting, I think, it can be cool.
It can be cool.
It can be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Yeah, because when you do that breakdown, when you're like, it's more tungsten on the left, and it's mixed lighting because that one's more. Would you say it's white, or what do you call that?
Daylight. Yeah.
Daylight.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So if we can break down the quick light spectrum, when it's more orange, you call that more tungsten.
Tungsten. Yeah, that would be lower. In the Kelvin scale, so
lower
like
in the Kelvin scale,
is, and then you go up to like 5700.
57 is
daylight. Is daylight.
Is daylight. So meaning
that's right. Yeah,
most
sure.
like these,
like the white, like these guys. Yeah. These
okay, so studio lights that are like white, like what you guys are
white
getting.
White lights, yeah.
Especially what you're getting on, like on these side shots. These are more Kelvin, higher Kelvin, and so they're more daylight.
Yes.
And then the tungsten is like the 3,000 Kelvin or 2,500 or whatever. Exactly. And then that's,
but I am dyslexic, so there's I'm a little dyslexic sometimes.
Yeah, I'm mixing stuff up.
But I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
totally.
not super technical.
But this is that spectrum. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that a lot, because then it enables so many more artistic essences to be expressed, because some of them there's that massive light spectrum for you to be able to pick and choose from as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it keeps going down to like fucking forgot what it's called, like and never mind. Forget. I forgot the mercury sort of style lights.
Yeah. I'm actually really interested in it now.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. The spectrum that we see is so small, even to what other mammals see. You know, like other animals, like birds, hawks. Hawks can see crazy shit.
Yeah,
they see
snakes,
a lot.
Infrared,
yeah.
And then,
imagine seeing an infrared. Like, I mean, you can obviously. They got FLIR cameras, but
I wonder. So here's a little bit of data on it here. Let's try and pull this up for people. All right, we're gonna show you 6 now. Okay, and then here you go, guys. Okay, so if you just look up, like photography in Kelvin, I mean, there's this one here.
Yeah, 2,000 candles. 2,000. Yeah, so I was right.
Interesting. So candle.
3,500 house light bulbs are usually tungsten. That gives you that warmer flavor.
I see in daylight's 5,500.
Yeah, it starts at 55, 50.
I don't know if I've ever seen dark shade, whatever that.
It might be like a black light.
Interesting.
Black light. So that'd be around 70.
And there's this one as well to another version of that to show people.
Yeah. So
color temperature. This is the word people use is color temperature.
Exactly. Yeah, color temperature.
Okay.
In Kelvin, it's measured in Kelvin.
In Kelvin. And so by tweaking this, especially in photography and videography, you basically can...
You control everything.
Everything.
With lighting. Everything.
Interesting.
It's one of those things that you would...
I love that.
You don't really notice, if you're watching something like, for example, The Haunting of Hill House does this insanely well, where they'll light different things. I think episode 6 of the first season, they had one shot, like a long shot, and they had different areas where the actors would walk into. The whole episode was basically a one shot, and they built a set to where things would change and from the house, and then they would be in the morgue. The morgue, they were doing like a funeral, and then they would walk in one shot to the set of the house, and that just blew my mind. There's like lightning coming through the windows, and there's so many tiny details. Like things you wouldn't notice, for example, like they move a statue, and then like you see the behind the scenes, and it's hilarious. They're like the camera's following this person into a room, and then outside of the room, there's like 100 crewmates like moving everything around, during the shot, so that when they come out of that room, everything's different.
Yep.
It's wild. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All that behind the scenes is, in essence, what drives people to become more literate, because you were talking about this a moment ago. You said that now every time you even watch like the Batman movie or like these really high level productions, you now see all of the nuances of how they actually produce it and make it happen.
Yeah.
Same thing with me now with music and video, and even in the sciences, because now I'm literally looking at the layering, which we're going to showcase in this case with your videos, and the layering in audios and tracks, the layering in terms of like in like biology would be something like the cell, and then you have the organ, and then you have the organism, and then you have the civilization, that kind of a thing. And so there's all these layers, and like if you begin seeing in those layers, in that systems thinking, that's one of, as we talked about with Neil Sperling on the show, it's one of the ways to become more of a genius, is to see those.
Totally. You got to see those things happen, and sort of what you see on like it applies to anything. Like what you see on screen isn't necessarily the what you should be seeing. You know what I mean? Like think about how things happen behind the scenes. Yeah. And you do learn a lot that way. You know what I mean?
I wonder, it would probably be an interesting idea to share now a idea of what happens, because we gave the photography examples. We're going to do the video examples next. I want to, before we do that, I want to share with people what occurs with the balance that has to happen between the client wants to collaborate with the photographer, videographer, or music producer, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And that the client wants their North Star to be fulfilled, but they also want to balance that with the artistic capabilities and creative direction of what the artist can provide in that process.
It's a middle ground, yeah. There's definitely a middle ground there, because people get in their minds what they want, and then those are a lot of time you've heard of a bridezilla. A lot of time there's like a setzilla where somebody wants to. Oh,
that's interesting. Wait
everything.
a second. Okay, so there's an actual, and it's just so funny because it's literally. Can you show them on your shirt too? He's got literally Kyle's got Godzilla on his shirt right there. That's so funny. So literally, bridezilla is the word that's used for kind of like a very overly controlling bride that wants creative control over everything.
Same with tiger moms and their kids.
Tiger moms and kids. Okay, so we're drawing an analogy also to setzilla.
Yeah,
which is very interesting.
I just made that up.
Yeah. Oh, that's a new word.
That's a new thing.
I love it.
Start using that, everybody.
You heard it here first. Setzilla.
Setzilla is it's mostly with independent stuff, where if you're a freelancer, you have a client that wants everything done the exact way that they imagine in their heads. That's not always the way it's going to be, and a lot of these people don't understand that, right? So I don't want to make any examples, but I've had a ton of these. I've had a ton of these people. But I mean, that's the importance of finding people that you can work with and actually, making friends, I want to say, but having a good relationship with the people that you can consistently call upon to rely on.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. You got to work like a well-oiled machine, like I say.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you had a guest on here, Zebulon Kroll.
Yep. Homie.
I work with him. Yeah, he's a homie. He helped me out so much, and the way we do things right now is it's a godsend, man. He's salt of the earth. He kind of he will sit in a room with me as I'm editing and write a song, like a track that I can use right when I finish. It's done. It's ready to go. And like I said, it's all layered out, and like during certain parts, it's perfect.
Exactly.
Just drop it on there.
and that has a lot to do with the fact that you're both in the creative project at the same time, so that he's kind of able to see what he needs to do on a music production layering to match what the video production that you're doing layering is.
Yeah, sometimes down to like the second.
Down to the second.
Yeah.
And I love how you bring up that it's important to, as you go through your creative journey, to do things like identify when there is some sort of like a setzilla style essence, and sort of, in a sense, distance yourself so that you can identify the people that are really great to work with and keep going in that direction more and more.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I thought we should talk about. And then another thing is that we kind of talked about this a bit on the mastermind side, but that in general, it's super important to just capture with your iPhone to start, right?
Yeah.
And like, whether it's photo and then taking that into Lightroom and posting it on Instagram daily, or doing on the video for your every 2 weeks, capture right there on the iPhone, and then just import that into Premiere. And
start simple. I would say a lot of people, especially around Los Angeles, they can get the best equipment, and they use the best cameras and everything. I've been using the same camera since basically the start of my career. I've had one lens. And so it's carried me the whole way because I know how to use it. I'm so I know what to look for and how to use it, right? But if you have, like, say, a $50,000 camera and you look good, that can also help in this city. Like, if you look legit, it can get you to the next stage. But then how are you gonna prove it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Rule number one. So then to know what you're doing, you have to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I would recommend, if anybody is starting out in film, just take the first step and use your phone, shoot a short film or like animation. I did a lot of claymation when I was a kid, and it's definitely a learning process. You can learn about frame rates and all that stuff. You can learn about a ton. So
Yeah.
just take pictures.
And then there's also the idea of like, I like how you say that you can level yourself up by becoming better and better at in a sense, the memetics, the better you become at doing the art in the video or the music or the photo space, and you showcase that to the world, the more that the world says that this person is higher up, top notch. And so I want to keep collaborating and working with them. And then there's also this strange, it kind of relates a little bit to the Setzilla in a way. It's kind of like if you show up to the studio and you show up with that red camera and the tens of thousands of dollars of equipment.
Yeah, and they look at that and they're like, this is amazing.
Person's legit.
Yeah.
And then, or like the wedding photographer that comes with 3 cameras on their belt and stuff. But versus someone that, imagine if someone that goes to that same wedding captures photos with their iPhone, brings them into Lightroom, and then gives you content that's even better than the wedding photographer.
Which you can do now. The iPhone 12 is ridiculous. Yeah, there's all these, all these contests and stuff. And a lot of time people win photo contests now with just their iPhone, which is great.
Super interesting.
Everybody in your pocket, you have this thing that you can do anything with, including become a professional photographer.
Super cool.
It's wild. And
you've had one lens on your camera that you've become a master with.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like that, yeah.
I do rent occasionally, but that's if I need to.
Exactly, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You gotta it brings you back to seeking discomfort. I didn't start off knowing what I was doing with the camera. It's part of that whole film school thing. And my film school in particular, it was very hands-on. It was a 2-year accelerated program. You get a 4-year bachelor's degree in 2 years. So it's pretty much a constant workflow.
Yeah.
Pulling all-nighters with your friends and this and that, and you really get to know each other. Most of the class dropped out, but we ended up with like 8 people that to this day I don't think I've seen a better workflow together. Even if shit hits the fan, and things are going wrong, but everybody knows how to handle, and we kind of, sneak in there and solve problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's important too.
Within this trajectory, you end up finding time over and over and over again that there's clients that you can serve that align with your ethic, that are exciting, whether it's in music production or whether it's the music videos or whether it's showcasing just people that are like we have a couple examples. It's probably a good time. We'll show those. We'll show the breakdown as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start, and then you can share with us. We have Ganesh, which is going to be the first one. This is a music video.
Yeah, this is a Halloween release music video.
Okay.
That was very last minute. And,
Halloween release music video.
Yeah.
And so we're going to play about a minute from each of these. Ganesh, and then we have Evan Bliss. So we have our mutual
Yeah,
homie.
he was also on this podcast, right?
Also on the podcast, that's right. And then so this was showcasing kind of Evan as a building designer.
Yeah, so this would be a promotional video for Evan. And
Okay, so a promotional video for an individual. So a music video, promotional video for an individual. And then we have Stereo Jane, which is a band.
Yeah, they're a band. They're very talented. The live shoot you're gonna see soon here is a single camera shoot, but I wanted to make it look like a multi-camera shoot. So there's a learning. I mean, there's always a learning curve.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love hacks like that. Are really interesting.
Yeah,
it looks multicam, but it's single cam.
And that goes to show the band was very tight. They're very talented. So they could play it like 5 times in a row without same tempo, without fucking it up.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good piece of you play the song 5 times and you shoot it from those different angles every time, and then that's how you get with
Put
one
it
camera.
together.
Boom. That's so awesome. Okay. All right. So starting off with Ganesh, music video, then Evan, and then Stereo Jane. So we're going to play that for you now as examples of the art of video. Boom.
Perfect. Got a lot going on.
Left me all alone, yeah. Don't hit my phone up, 'cause I moved on, girl. I'm with another one. You've been ghosted all along, yeah. I've been rolling. I've been moving fast. I got this girl, she looking at me, can't erase the past. I've been living my way, can't be caught up in all these cash. I only smoke the green and chill, I chase some money back. Damn, you had me for a second when you say you lonely, but you ignore me. Who are all these other homies? I seen that you been out exploring, been overdue now that you say you want me so bad, yeah, so bad, yeah. She wish she didn't get all caught up with the next man. Hold that.
Okay, so that was Ganesh.
That was a fun one. Let me just say something.
We have a lot to say about that one.
God, yeah, we do
Yeah.
have a lot, but that's
We
fine.
do, yeah. Okay, let's show them.
This is Evan Bliss.
I'm Evan Bliss, and I design buildings. Work that I've done has been recognized by the American Institute of Architects and here in Los Angeles chapter, also in the Chicago chapter. Won national level AIA awards, hospitals, homes, big buildings in major cities, warehouses, manufacturing facilities. All those lessons that I've learned from that is that you have to see just over the hillside. You have to see that opportunity that waits on the other side. It used to be if you wanted to execute any sort of creative endeavor, by nature, you had to have this really large and expensive team that was all kind of in-house, and you just had to have this incredible amount of resource behind you to make that real. But I think there's much more powerful models of how a creative studio works that you could find in places like the technology industry.
And that was Evan. All right, and Stereo Jane.
Lies wrapped up in the sheets that stole me, caught up in the car so holy, feasted on my sins like prey. My skin don't feel like how it used to. Want it to feel just like you do. Now I know that I did it the wrong way, and I would sit and pray that one day you go away, and take the pain away. Like
Yeah,
I love those examples.
they were great.
Those are
Thank
so good.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and I want to pull things up as we literally unpack them because first of all, let's go to Ganesh,
Yeah.
and I'm going to pull up the visuals as we talk about it.
Cool.
So, okay. So in Ganesh, we have this super interesting part, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit before we started too, where there's like a
When she disappears.
yeah, where's the
shot before
bed?
that.
Yeah, there it is. It's coming. Yeah, like
Right there.
right here.
So that was fun. If you could see the pictures in the background kind of blow up as she disappears. The front shot, she's not actually there, obviously. That's a bunch of effects and stuff. So to sell it more, that's like a practical and CG sort of thing you can do is like blow the pictures when she disappears. So she looks like she's actually disappearing in the room when she's not actually there. That it's the same for everything. Like I would definitely recommend, like if you see John Carpenter's The Thing, like the practical effects, like it's the same story. They're you need practicals to make CG look better. And I'm not the greatest CG editor, but I did have fun
And
with
CG
this.
computer graphics?
Yeah, computer graphics.
'Kay.
So yeah, so I think the practicals of having the paper flow in the background sold it better than if they weren't there. You know.
Would it be fair to say that you do there's like a similar CG in a sense that happens between this point, what you're using here, and what you're using kind of here, right? And that, would it be fair to say something like because we're going to show some of this stuff in the layering later, but not to this exact video, but we'll show kind of what these techniques look like a little bit. But is it something along the lines of you take like that, like the picture, the still of her, and then you kind of bring it, you eliminate everything in that image except her.
Yeah. So for this shot,
And then
in
you make
particular-
that opacity, you bring the opacity down, make it more.
Well, it is
and then
different
you-
blend modes and everything.
blend modes.
Basically,
Okay,
you're right.
okay,
Basically,
okay,
right.
okay.
We shot this shot in particular on a green screen.
Okay, so it was
in
on
the
a green
mirror.
screen.
Yeah, so
Got it.
that's you key out the green, and then what's
Got
left
it.
is her, and that was an easy shot. But the
And
last
then you
shot,
bring that down and import that into this.
basically,
shot. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So the last shot, she was actually in the bed. The shot where she sat up in bed, that was actually she was sitting up in bed. It was just a different take.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. And then you just brought that.
So you don't move the camera. You basically find everything that's the same in the shot,
Yep.
and there's a way to get rid of that. So it looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So it's like you screen it out.
Whoa.
So it was
That's
fun to
so
do.
impressive.
And if you look at one of the next shots, there's my first time really fucking around with motion control. Keep going. So this shot, for example, I had, it's a gimbal that you can kind of program movement into. So you can have it do the same thing every time. And I think we recorded just a few angles where one take was with Ganesh, and then the other take was with the ghost girl, right? So
that's right.
And since they're the exact same movements, camera movements and everything, you can overlay them and do what I just talked about, where you just everything that's the same frame, you remove it.
Yes,
so
yes.
she becomes like you can like make
Yeah.
her disappear. You can do
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of effects that I love exploring things like that. And and that's filmmaking. You know,
Super interesting.
yeah, technology is
Okay.
dope.
So a good thing to do in videography is to take the idea of a take of what you're imagining creatively as the actual, in this case, is the guy that's in the space, and then you take the second take of where she's also in
Right.
the space.
She's in space, and then you take a blank slate of the same camera angle.
and then the blank slate.
So I mean, if
there
you
go.
wanted to, you can make
There you go.
anything disappear in the shot. If you
Yeah,
like
okay.
anything, like any character, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
And that was fun because I've never really played with that before, but I had fun with it.
So there's that. And then
Yeah.
I thought another interesting thing that I think is becoming more popular in these as well is that you have things like these interesting little transitions
Right.
that occur. Like those are cool. I like those transitions.
That was yeah. I usually make my own transitions, but this
That's
a drop in. You know,
That's a cool one. I think people are becoming more
they're
familiar.
huge now, especially in
Well,
the rap like
that one?
music videos and stuff like that.
And then this is becoming more popular too, sort
yeah.
of these
Oh,
like you can take the little phone shots and there's those, that transition there is super
Mhm.
interesting. Then there's sort of this like
Just overlays and
overlays.
stuff like that.
Those are cool.
Those are definitely trendy right
Yeah.
now, to say the least. I mean,
Super trendy, yeah.
it's gotten to the point where a lot of music videos are exactly the same. And
Interesting.
I've done a lot of music videos where it's like you go out and you're basically filming the same video, which is I wanted I respect it. I see that it's the quick way to do it, and it it sells.
Yeah.
Right, it's part of the formula, but it's
Sure,
not.
sure.
the
unique,
ideal.
the
It's
uniqueness.
not unique.
Adding uniqueness to aspects of the formula is very important.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I try to do that. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I really liked in Evans, I really liked this kind of like, look, man, there's a chair here, and that it's literally opening to Evan walking up, sitting down, and then being like, the first thing is just boom, just right there, I design buildings. And
Yeah.
then boom, drops right into like, my work has been featured here. I've done this, this, and this. Like, that's a really strong format.
Yeah, it's all about the hook in the beginning, and that was on purpose. How you could even see the lights in the background and everything. Usually that's a big no, but that was me kind of being like, I don't think fuck the rules, kind of.
Exactly,
I
which
know
is that
people will get mad at
uniqueness, which is what you were saying.
Exactly,
That
yeah,
uniqueness.
it ties back into that. Yeah.
It's like when the camera's in the shot, right? That kind of thing
Yeah.
too. Like on the 2 shot, you can see the over the shoulder shot that we use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's interesting that
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
exactly.
People
Yeah.
know that there's a
That's it.
camera.
because we have to do it for when we do the writing
Check
examples.
out my shoes.
Yeah, and we can check out the kicks and that like so there's that. And then I really liked also that that will you also just share with us, where are you getting like this content? Like
I filmed that. That's
I know
all the
that.
B-roll. It's kind of
that's B-roll. I know
Yeah.
that one is because that's Evans.
you
But
know,
then
stock.
this stuff, right?
Right.
I would
It's-
So where do aspiring videographers get high quality B-roll that is not captured stock video that they
Right.
purchase or license to and
stock
whatnot?
footage can be very expensive.
Yeah.
But I don't like to pay for stock footage. So there's sites that you can use. I think off the top of my head, I can't remember the name, but I think Pond 5. I just basically Googled free
Stock footage.
royalty-free stock footage
Yeah,
for
cool.
because you got the copyright-free stuff. Is
Yeah,
is
yeah.
definitely important to do. You don't want to get demonetized.
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah.
But it's you can find it.
Just make sure it's copyright free.
Copyright-free is important.
And then make sure that like YouTube has the audio library, which I've been using a lot
yeah,
for my
audio library
videos.
is pretty great.
Yeah, and that was all free
Mhm,
music, which is great.
And I've worked for a bunch of places that use different. I mean, they're all good in their own respect. I wish I could remember the name. I'm so bad with names.
Yeah.
But I wish I could remember the name of. There's one. What was it? I keep thinking Audible, but that's the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have stems, so you can find a song that you really like, and they'll have like an option where if you just want the drums, you can just have the drums, or like
Yeah.
just the guitar, just like the vocals, And they're very high quality recordings and this and that. So they're definitely expanding that style thing with royalty free music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's that, and then is there another aspect to Evans that we should mention that you think is important to share?
Evan made it so easy. He's definitely good in front of the camera. He's a talker.
Yeah.
Kind of keeps things
Totally.
going.
Totally. That's another good point.
Yeah,
Is that the person, the more in flow they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You want to
it's,
capture their essence and flow.
right. And
and-
if
yeah.
they're open about that, then it's great. I mean, some people like me, I'm not used to being in front of the camera. I will like shut down usually. If there's a camera pointed towards me, I don't know what to do. But it's great seeing somebody in front of the camera that can actually rock it.
Which you have been. This has been a great flow. We kind of
Thank
worked
you.
our way into, being in this flow right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And you're really good at that too, Alan.
Thank you, man.
You kind of bring people in and loosen them up a little
Exactly.
bit.
And that's an important thing for people that do video and photo to be able to do in music production, all this type of stuff, is to
Totally, yeah.
loosen up
That alone is a talent. It's a skill.
It is a talent.
in weddings and stuff too.
It's a good one,
Like,
yeah.
Man, I've had
Exactly.
to come for like so many brides that are like
Exactly.
so nervous.
Yeah.
Like this is the biggest day of their lives.
Yep.
And so just like, okay, you can do it,
Yeah.
But it's definitely a skill.
Actually, that's a great point, that it's actually useful for people that are in the entertainment industry in that sense to also have practiced meditation, because then they can be peaceful and they can calm the energy of
Yeah.
others. Yeah, exactly.
More grounded.
That's good. That's
Maybe I should have meditated earlier. No, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay, and then we have the Stereo Jane example.
Yes.
And this is really interesting because you basically shot this, you said like 5 times different from all these. They played the song the same
exact tempo. I mean, they had we had a recording artist right there recording it, so this is a live recording.
So you shot once from here, you shot once from here, shot once.
I did handheld, a drum
here.
cam a couple times. I mean, you know,
wow.
bass, and then there was also the same day recorded an acoustic set that I don't think is released yet, but yeah.
And then you just in the layers you just cut between them as
To match them all
to
up,
match
and
them all
that
up,
used to be
yeah.
a very hard job, but now it's a one.
And now because
operation.
you use software to match them up like that.
It's amazing.
And what software do you use to match them up?
Premiere. You
Yeah,
just literally highlight the audio tracks,
Yes.
right click, and synchronize.
Right click on the audio tracks and click synchronize.
Synchronize.
And then
And
they'll
then at
just
the bottom-
they'll just line up.
At the bottom, there's an option to click audio. Like you can synchronize different things, but I click audio, and then it's perfect every time, pretty much. You know?
That's awesome.
to the frame.
To the
It's-
frame.
It's great.
That's awesome.
Like I remember back, I used to make lyric videos.
It used to
you
take
know?
so long
Oh my god.
to line it up.
Yeah, line everything up, different wavelengths and everything.
Interesting.
But
And there's software for, I know, matching, like, for example, when I do on the road interviews, usually I'm bringing, like, the Zoom H6
right,
with me, and
Yeah.
then I have to bring that in.
and the
to-
camera audio
and
too.
then- yeah, and then you can do that right-click sync,
Mhm.
but usually sometimes I'm just trying to make sure that it's exactly on frame, and, like, there's software that helps with the, like, movement also of
right.
the mouth and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And this is another really good, there's like, in a sense, we're highlighting the art of video from many different angles, because you have Ganesh is a much more, it's leveraging a lot more of kind of like the modern, not only different genre of music, but it's leveraging a lot more of those modern transitions we were talking about, and a lot more of those CG, computer graphics.
CG stuff.
And whereas in Stereo Jane, it's a lot more of that classic set. Yeah.
I love both styles a lot of
Exactly.
time. So I kind of, you have to know what to look for, and strive for that. Like if you look in the Stereo Jane one, there's a lot of soft tungsten lighting, rather
Mhm.
than in the Ganesh one, there's a lot of hard, daylight lighting. So it's just the different.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Different
Yep.
different vibes.
And
you know?
in Evans, it was also that daylight.
Evans had a lot of
Li-
daylight.
like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
And I liked how that's also this juxtaposed with music videos, is this highlighting of, like, Evans' expression, his aromatic flower expression is what you did.
His
there.
is so easy to catch, though. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry about that.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, you're good. That's good. Just wanna
It's
make
so easy to catch with Evan because he's just an honest guy. He's just real. He's
Yeah.
a real dude. Shout out Evan.
Shout out.
Being real.
Hella real. Yeah.
Hella real.
And so are you and Zeb.
That's pretty NorCal, man.
The crew is
The hella
Omar.
hella real.
Hella. Yeah, I know. Hella
Pretty
is a very NorCal. Yeah, that's right.
Like
I
that.
know. I'm so happy I picked that up.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and
I
you
love it.
mentioned Omar. Omar's the man.
Omar's a homie.
They're all
Zeb's
homies,
homie.
dude. Zeb's a homie,
I mean, the clique is really strong,
and it's growing.
and it's growing,
We're gonna
bro.
take over.
This
man.
is only one nodal cluster, because there's many that were overlapping and connecting and flowering.
Totally.
It's
This is gonna be
ridiculous.
we're gonna own Los Angeles pretty soon.
We're gonna help awaken.
We're
Los
gonna awaken
Angeles.
Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
exactly.
Yeah.
And inclusively stakehold everybody as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. Being totally transparent. Yeah. Speaking of stakeholding, I wanted to say it bothers me when somebody like the networking thing. Like we all help each other out, But I don't like when a friend helps another person out and does it without giving them something back. Like at least like you help. You help them out, they help you out, or they help you out, you help them out. Or monetarily, it's not wrong to give your friends money if they're helping you out. If there's a budget, give them money,
Totally.
I've worked for free way too many
Way
times
too
for people
much.
that I would call friends,
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
not, I
Yeah.
wouldn't do that to anybody, man. If
Yeah.
if you come on set
That's
with
right.
me, I'm paying you. If you
That's
set up a
right.
light stand, you get paid for it.
That's right. Yeah. Inclusive stakeholding is exactly that.
Yeah.
There's always the endeavors where it's like wanting to, like I was kind of going through this a little bit yesterday as an idea, but a good analogy to draw for where we're at right now would be like if today you were told that you could go back to 2015 when and be an intern for Joe Rogan. a lot of people would go and do it.
Totally.
But today, it's interesting for me. I'm struggling with finding people that want to come on and intern. But that's because a lot of people don't see where we're going to be in 2025.
Right.
And so I'm trying to hook people up and have them be young Jamies at fucking good times
Totally.
in the growth process. But it's hard to sell that vision to other people and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And in this case, I would do things like, I mean, to go and like be with, you know, like, I think it'd be very powerful to sit in like with maybe Gary Vaynerchuk or someone for a day to like be unpaid, but to be helping and to be learning. So there's that powerful sort of like surround yourself with really powerful nodes, even if it's unpaid. There's that balance.
Yeah.
But then also it's balanced with like, yo, be that person that inclusively stakeholds everybody in the sense of like when there is a budget, like pay people really well, especially when they deserve it, when they're performing really well. And then what's going to happen is a lot of flowers and blossoming fruits.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll all kind of sprout your field that you've grown, and everybody working together as a team rather than just one for their own self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do a little breakdown as well. So, okay. Yeah, so walk us through, like, this looks crazy. This is the bottom right corner. For those that don't know, that's what Premiere.
That's the timeline.
That's the timeline. So, and then what you have in that timeline is you have what looks like, again, if we just think about it, like whether it's what Zeb was doing by showing us the layers in music production, or in this case, Kyle showing us the layers in video production, which also includes audio itself, but the audio is not, you take that final audio track of all those like 20 layers and then you bring that into one and put that in the video. And
it's,
then
basically, I mean, a lot of time you'll be cutting audio just like you'd be cutting a video.
That's right.
But
and then you
this
have
is actually a short-term project. I did this in the last few days. Not actually sure. It's not released yet, so don't, mute it and everything. But this is
it is. It is muted.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely muted.
Perfect.
And we can play it so they're not hearing anything.
Okay.
And why don't you walk us through it? Yeah.
This is just I was showing you the basically how Premiere works and how it looks with an edited project, and you can scrub through the timeline, and you can go to there's like different tabs at the top basically, and I'll do some color grading here because that's one of my favorite parts. I don't know where I did it, but anyway, I go to the color tab and then I turn off the color that I did on there, and you could just see the difference, and that's part of that's one of the most satisfying things in film editing is the color grading.
Yes.
Because here I am just messing tweaking the exposure and everything. That's the original. That's out of camera.
Oh no.
So that's what it looked like out of camera.
Oh.
Which flat is good, right? You can do a lot of editing with flat, and that's with the LUT. But
interesting. So you capture in flat to do all that.
Yeah. So there's the flat. Flat has the highest bit depth, and you can sort of pull it out. I mean, that's
cool. So it's like most raw. Raw is
the most flat, raw, exactly.
Flat is most raw. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow. Okay, so is it fair then to say something along the lines of what you're sort of doing is in a sense you're capturing, what does that even mean? What does it mean when how does capturing something flat or raw, what does that do? What would that be like with this? Instead of what we have, how would we set these to capture it raw? I know we're not doing this here, but I'm just saying for as an example, if I am to go and capture a shot of the ocean or the trees or somebody's face, or capture a video of any of those things, how do I set my camera to capture it raw or flat?
So rule number one,
and how do I draw it out? Yeah.
Shoot in manual at all times.
Shoot manual.
Yeah, shoot in manual.
Yeah.
I mean, white balance and stuff you can kind of play with, but shoot in manual, and usually DSLRs now they do raw, and you got to choose the color science that you want. I guess the look is what it is, but yeah, there's a ton of different things you can do.
They just shoot raw
Shoot
in
raw.
manual.
Yeah, in manual. And yeah.
There's just a mode called raw.
This is this mode is Vlog. That's right, I was on the tip of my mind.
Vlog.
Vlog, yeah. So Panasonic GH5s is what we shot this with, and Vlog is the flattest grade possible. So the flatter, with RAW, like you have a lot of bit depth, right? There's just basically how much you can edit in one image, how much color information you can pull out.
Okay.
And with the flatter the image, in certain cases, as long as there's the bit depth for you to play with, then you're expected to play with that, right? You're expected to pull
bit
out the
depth,
colors.
meaning that it's closer to something that's maybe like a black, white, and gray that you can then draw more color from.
So the higher the bit depth, the blacker your images can be, and if it's right in the middle, then you have more control basically over the colors.
Okay. Versus if you cap it in color, you have way less control over the colors. Versus when you cap it in black, or that bit depth, you can draw out however much.
It depends on
appropriate.
the bit depth, right? So if you're shooting, let's say photography, for example, if you're taking JPEGs with your camera, immediately stop doing that. Don't do that.
Don't take JPEGs.
Don't take JPEGs. Take raw images. If you have a camera that
images.
can,
Yeah.
raw images.
Yep.
Because you get way more control because of the color space. There's
Lightroom for you after.
Lightroom, Lightroom. Photoshop does it too. It's for some reason runs slow on my computers with Photoshop, but I mean I don't know why you'd really use Photoshop for that, because that's what Lightroom's built for.
So I'm importing raw images into Lightroom, and then I'm doing like in Premiere it's called like Lumetri.
Yeah, exactly.
Color
So
controls.
Lumetri's in Lightroom too, but you have
It is,
way more leeway in Lightroom, right? So you can completely change the look of an image, and same with video. You know, you can do a lot of color editing, and ideally, what you should shoot to edit, and what you shoot shouldn't be anything close to what you have released.
That's such an interesting perspective. I guess it also depends then on if it's what like project it's for creatively, because for the ones that you're describing, it makes total sense because you're taking it all. So you're shooting where it looks nothing like the final,
right,
and you're doing it all in post. Whereas for me, maybe with like right now with my caliber of like on off-site interviews, where when I do those, that then it's really just like lav mics into the Zoom and then just setting up the cameras on. If I do manual, I do, but usually it's something like auto and just making sure that the lighting's strong.
Right, and it depends on what you're doing too.
Because I'm just switching between two shots. And
I'm
having
talking
the mics.
as a camera, operator.
Exactly.
There has to be someone operating the camera, and if you're setting a camera up to do an interview in front of the camera, like these, for example, you're definitely going to want to have automatic settings.
Just in case we do stuff, exactly.
Right.
Where we move and all this stuff. Yeah, totally.
And the color, the white balance and
stuff like that.
Automatic everything.
Interesting. So it totally then depends. But most of the time when you're trying to take things into post, shoot your photos in RAW, bring them into Lightroom.
Rule number one. Photos especially, man.
Photos, yeah. And then in video, you want it to be where you can draw out as much of the color as possible.
That's also a good point, because I'm not thinking of actually running, like I do run and gun, but I'm always on camera, right? Run and gun, if I were to do the interviews, I wouldn't shoot just manual everything, like focus and everything. You'd have to make automatic.
That's right. Yeah.
And now automatic autofocus is getting crazy. In the recent years, it's pretty good, because you never had that before. You just have to set the aperture all the way up and make everything in focus, which doesn't look as good.
Nope.
Now you can have autofocus and it tracks your face perfectly.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. That's. I hope to get that implemented into some of the existing technological systems, because
like these guys,
because they're really strong for what we're purposing for them for right now, the existing camera system.
Now what is this? I've never seen
these. Are JVC PTZ pan tilt zoom robotic cameras, so that I'm not even controlling them.
So would it follow me if I got up and walked away?
And so that's the next feature, is the tracking, and then the feature after that, which we were beginning to describe, is that we don't have yet the setting where it will take, because we've had this feedback several times, is the setting where it does the
like follows you.
Nope.
No.
It's the I have the word one
LiDAR.
moment. Nope. I have the
Sorry.
moment. One word. It's one moment. It's the bokeh.
Bokeh, yeah, the
There it is.
blurriness in the background,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. So that we've had that feedback several times where the bokeh, you would have this blurriness all in the background so that it would basically draw out the salience of Kyle's face.
Right.
And so that's something we've gotten feedback for. So that's another thing with the cameras.
Separation is important in anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that eventually we'll have the artificial intelligence algorithms that then do things like take the existing stream between cameras, and that they, as my stream of vocals end and yours starts,
Automatic
it auto
switch.
switches.
Yeah.
And then when we say pull up, the specific thing that we were just looking up a moment ago on the search engine, that then we can pull up content as we talk about it to do fact checking and
Right.
all
So
this
it's
type of
like
stuff.
it's like, hey Google, pull this up.
Exactly.
And
And
just
then-
do it.
Yeah, exactly. Or it
soon
auto
it's
even
automatically
recognizes
You say like a
when-
keyword
exactly.
and
yeah.
it'll listen to what you're saying. I mean, we're not far off, man.
We're not far
That's
off.
gonna happen sooner
Yeah.
or later. We're not gonna need any cameramen at all. It's kind of a wild thing because now they have.
Throw the drone up.
I have,
and
yeah,
have it
exactly.
follow
No,
you.
I have.
Yeah.
They do have drones that follow you. I also have a gimbal where if you mount your phone, you need your phone to do it. But if you mount your phone to the top of it, it will track you and it'll follow you around. So you can basically have a full 360 shot.
Yeah, I saw that with Ron, our producer director in the Bay Area. He showed me that one. That's
Yeah,
a good one.
it's really
it just
cool.
follows you around. Put the phone on the gimbal and walk around, and
Yeah,
it'll
and you
follow
just talk
Yeah,
to yourself,
exactly.
you know, and you have
And
what
walk
looks
around.
like a
A
professional.
cameraman.
Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting.
And that's the same
And
gimbal I
then
use
just
for
that drone,
the drone,
that follows
and it'll
you,
fly
yeah.
through trees
Fly
and
through trees,
go
yeah.
through all that.
while you're skiing and shit. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, stuff like that.
And same thing with like you've heard the Mandalorian, the Disney Plus Star Wars show, right?
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian,
Okay.
yeah, with the Baby Yoda and everything,
Oh,
just the viral.
Okay.
The way they shot that is crazy. I mean, they've been doing similar things for a long time, but they took it to the next level, where instead of a green screen, like a lot of it's CG, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They actually utilized a giant LCD
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
that spins
Yes.
with the moves with the camera, so
Yep.
it's like connected visually to the camera. I forgot what that.
Now,
whole
why
setup's called.
why are people choosing to do Are people choosing to do these massive LCD screen environments, and they look like?
Yeah, let's definitely pull it up. It's
to pull up actually for people.
super interesting. Actually, before the Rona hit, I got invited to visit the Mandalorian set. And then everything went to shit. But hopefully
Well,
I'll
it's gonna
take them
come
up
back.
on that. I'll take them
Definitely gonna come back.
Yeah.
What would be a good thing to search to find that? Like, I'm trying to find it. It's kind of a little bit like
Mandalorian. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
we're kind of getting there.
You're
We
not
can,
seeing it on the screen.
but no, we're gonna switch that up. Yeah, there you go.
So,
But they're
basically
even bigger. I mean, we're talking like full,
huge and
yeah,
full 360.
full
too.
360.
So you move the camera and it the perspective that it's in 3D space. So this looks like it's kind of just a picture that might move with the camera as you dolly around it. But when the Mandalorian, the way they did it was it's connected to the camera in such a way where you move the camera and the whole background. It's really trippy to watch. I'd check out like YouTube or something if you can.
Mandalorian
Mandalorian.
screen environment,
There it is.
like this one, right?
Yeah.
Whoa! I know this one's so crazy.
And
Oh my
they have it
goodness.
half, like I was saying earlier, like practicals, like when we blew the sheets on the windows, they have the ground, like they build practically inside the room. So
Dude,
the
this
thing-
is crazy.
they
This
have
is a set.
interaction with the things. It's the craziest set,
Oh my goodness. So we're saying let's put it this way. So we have so we have kind of like levels. So one of the levels is we just go and we capture something with a camera. The next level is that maybe we do something like we add green screens, or we add like what we were talking about with some CG in one of your
and you can
videos.
play with that.
Play with that.
Yeah.
And then we have this sort of like either 100% CGI, which is becoming more common, or you have people that wear those like full suits with sensors that then you take the human in, but then it's a completely CG environment.
Turn it into like a monkey or lion or something.
And then and then there's also just the human in a completely CG environment. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there's this, which is that instead of generating a CG environment in like post, what you do is you basically generate the CG environment on this 360-degree LCD screen.
Right. And it reacts with the camera movement. So the person, you can do handheld in this room, and it'll make it look realistic. You know how the parallax of everything, like if you move your head, things move differently, different ways.
Whoa.
You can move the camera, and it'll react as if.
Whoa.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
So it's synced. The camera is synced with the 360 LCD screen.
Yeah. And the things, the items and stuff in the background, like say there's hallways or whatever, you can basically have a camera moving through the hallway and, handheld the walking movements that you would be doing.
Now, what's the benefit of doing it this way versus the CGI?
A lot cheaper, I imagine.
This way?
I imagine, yeah, because it's one set and you can do whatever you want on it, And I hear a lot about this. There's a few different things that they're doing right now, like in Manhattan Beach somewhere. I haven't placed a location. I'll let you know when I find out. But there's like a football field sized green screen. Yeah, whoa. And with cameras, like red cameras mounted about every like meter, 3 meters or whatever on the walls. And you can do anything like the Matrix, the original Matrix, where Neo's dodging the bullets. Yeah, that was done with a bunch of DSLRs that in today's day and age wouldn't. They're like Canon, whatever, whatchamacallits. But yeah, you could do that with reds in a football field sized stadium and basically turn on each camera and have like a slow motion Matrix style thing in a huge, enormous green screen space. So that would be the most expensive way to do it. This would be probably middle ground, It's a LCD screen. Curved LCD screens exist for consumers. It's not super.
This is really interesting craziness. As part of the future. I would also say that kind of the next step above this is kind of like literally immersing yourself indistinguishably in the 3 space itself.
Right.
Like in a completely indistinguishable virtual environment. And like that's metaphysically what we hypothesize this experience and this reality is.
Yeah.
That's kind of the we can get a little into those metaphysics.
Games. I mean, video games. You think about like Buddhists, they believe, right? As Buddhists, but they believe that when you live your life the right way, you're reincarnated until you live your life the right way, and then you go on to the next level. Yeah, that reminds me of Mario, man. Like you jump into the hole in the ground so many times, and then you figure out a way to jump over the hole, right? Yeah, and you're on the next level. And same with like Vishnu. The Hindus believe that like all of this is Vishnu's dream, right? Like that's another. It's virtual reality, man.
That's right. That's
crazy.
right.
I think
that's right.
And there's like you look up into space and we don't know what the fuck's up there. It's all numbers. Like what we have now is just basically what we think it is, And there's it's all math, so anything can happen, man. Right? Yeah, I like how you brought in the Eastern philosophies and spiritual traditions, because I completely agree that you have this process of doing things, like whether you call it the Noble Eightfold Path or whether you call it the 10 Commandments in the Abrahamic tradition, it literally doesn't matter. Yeah. They're basically trying to just get you to channel only the highest possible morality, ethics, and your own suffering and the suffering of others around you. And then what happens is that you literally become God consciousness. And then what happens is that at that point, you have such a transcendent experience. You like transcend and include like the human body. Like you anchor that in your spirit, in your energy, and you in physicalism. So everything you affect in the physical world is that butterfly effect of that highest
possible, morality, ethic,
Mm-hmm.
but also that you transcend in the sense of like you've transcended and included your ego. You're
Right.
no longer in that obsessive compulsive self-dealing state of existence. And then also you even transcend and include the obsession with nationalism or obsession with like skin color or things like that.
You're basically transcending its greed, affliction, and ignorance, right?
That's
Not
it,
affliction.
yeah.
What's the second one?
Aversion, yeah.
Aversion, yeah.
Yes,
aversion
yes,
and
yes,
ignorance,
yes.
right.
Yeah.
And so
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right, my brother. Yeah.
I'm all about that.
And then the dream, like you were mentioning, the idea of recursion or the idea of as above, so below as well,
Right.
is that the same way that we go into a dream, it's so funny, as above, so below, we go into a dream once a day,
Mm-hmm.
and that during those 8 hours, what's occurring is that we are literally simulating a reality where we are
In our own
both,
brains.
in our own mind, where we are both the spirit of the consciousness and we are the physicalism of the environment that we've simulated for the spirit to be inside of. So we simulate both the consciousness and we simulate the actual environment for it
Right.
in the same dream, same dreamed reality. And so then the hypothesis is that as above, so below, we are infinite consciousness. We simulated these finite realities for
Yeah.
us to sit in as a finite, separate conscious entity, and that we engage in these physical realities for consciousness to undergo the process of exploring what all these different tastes of experience
Right.
are.
It's like a huge storm over an ocean with tornadoes touching down. Each one of us is a tornado,
Mhm.
right? The massive consciousness is a storm,
Mm.
right? And we're touching down. There's also the egg. I think is a really good example of that. Like if you look up the egg on YouTube,
Oh yeah,
the short
Andy
sort of,
Weir. Yeah,
yeah. Andy Weir. That's his name. He
he's
wrote The
so on
Martian.
point. And then Kurtzgezad is the animation studio that,
Right. Yeah.
in a nutshell,
Amazing animation. Yeah.
they're
so well done.
they're like Pixar level in my opinion.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Andy did a great job writing that story. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
great.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's a good example, and I like the storm and tornadoes. We also have the whirlpool analogies, another one. Little whirlpools of consciousness.
Yep.
Yeah, is another one. Yeah, there's these analogies are really powerful because they help communicate metaphysics in relatable ways for kids and for
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
And
And that's me. I'm honestly just starting
Me
to
too.
get into this stuff.
me
man. I
too.
mean,
I'm trying my best to be as ELI 5 as
Right.
possible
Right,
with this
right.
stuff. Yeah. But this is so fascinating because what we're literally talking about right now, and what's the best word for these again? The 360 LCD
Oh, yeah,
environments, or
yeah.
what's the best word for it?
dude, I wish I knew. What
Let's
it's
say
called.
360
360
LCD
yeah,
environments.
the-
Okay.
the-
So that these environments are, like, our train of thinking's super interesting here because we're talking 360 LCD environments. Then we're talking, using Unity and Unreal and building
Virtual reality
3-space virtual realities.
experiences, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about literally what our reality is, because as we go more and more to these things that we're communicating, we immerse ourselves more and more into these environments that you're seeing here on screen, and that these indistinguishable worlds like you see in Ready Player One and The Matrix and all stuff.
Right.
That more and more we're going to awaken to the fact that this already is that.
Yeah.
And we're undergoing this process of exploring infinite states of qualia, infinite phenomenological experiences for consciousness to undergo.
Yeah. I think the probability of us being in a virtual reality outweighs the probability of us actually being here. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird to think about, but
And to
Yeah.
me, it's the same thing, which is super interesting.
no, it
Like
doesn't.
it's a funny thing. Like we're always trying to separate things like science and spirituality, or base reality and virtual reality.
Right.
They're the fucking same thing.
Yeah.
I love viewing it that way.
It's all about your experience, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the experience you have as a person / imaginated
Entity.
entity.
Yeah.
There you go.
Entity's a good word for it. Bintinu Masaro's been
It's kind
good
of all
on.
encompassing.
And the law of one, Ra, has a really good mind-body-spirit complex is a good way to say it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
Yeah,
that.
I know. It's a good way to say it. Mind-body-spirit complex.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
What'd
'Cause
you
that's
say that
what
was
it
from?
is.
Where
The
was it from?
Law of One by
Is it a
Ra.
book I should read. I'm gonna read that.
I'll send you to. Actually, we can pull it up because I think it's that profoundly important for people
Yeah.
that we'll go ahead and pull it up. So it is.
I can't.
Okay,
I can't
I'm
wait
gonna-
for you to get Greg on this.
Bro, we are gonna rock it with Greg. I'm so pumped to have him on. Thank you for that intro. I'm
Yeah, of
so
course,
pumped
man.
to have
He's-
Greg
he's-
on.
He's a great dude. Fascinating. Yeah.
And it's probably gonna happen right after New Year's. We'll also send him this as well, so he kind of knows that the homies
Okay.
are ready. We're ready for
Totally.
him. So this is lawofone.info. Okay. Okay. So that's the URL for everyone. Lawofone.info.
Not .com.
Lawofone.info. Now, when you get here, this is Law of One. The idea is generally that you had Ra. Ra is this was a process that was undergone a series of 106 conversations called sessions between Don Elkins, a professor of physics and UFO investigator, and Ra speaking through Carla Ruckert.
Wow.
And so Ra states that if they are a 6-density social memory complex that formed on Venus about 2.6 billion years ago, and they are humble messengers of the Law of One, and that they previously tried to spread this message in ancient Egypt with mixed results. So,
Wow.
and so what the idea is that if you go down here and you begin browsing by category, there's archetypal mind, balancing, before the veil, cosmology, earth history, meditation, Law of One, higher self, pyramids, teachings, original thought, UFO, science, sexual energy transfer,
Have
all
you
this
heard?
stuff.
Have you heard about the FBI? I think it's no CIA, not FBI. But they're playing with psychics. Have you heard about that? Like they're kind of when the CIA there's a document. I don't know if it's real or not.
Which one?
But they're talking about how they got a psychic, and they said go to this coordinate, like go to these coordinates, and it
Oh.
was the Mars. It was like coordinates on Mars, and they said to go back like 2 billion years or whatever.
Sure.
And it's just crazy. Like
Yeah.
I would love to believe it.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
but this is the thing is that we have to have a high amount of openness to new things and experience,
Mhm.
but we have to not, it has to be balanced because you have to not let in like, oh, I'm going to be open to the new experience of rebirthing slavery. Like, let's do it, you know?
Yes, yeah.
And so, and the same thing kind of where somebody can, in a sense, they can have their own subjective hallucinative experience of doing something like, I astral projected to this star system
Astral,
and
yeah.
and
That's
I underwent this process, and it's like, this is excellent. You can have whatever beautiful subjective conscious experiences you want. Absolutely. My next step would be instead of having people say you're a liar, that's BS, instead of that, I would say bless the person. And the next thing would be why don't we do our best to structure some sort of scientific method around pushing beyond the edge of what is known by us.
Right, and that's
exactly
that's
it. That's basically it. So when you take
being done for
when you take Bob Monroe and the Gateway, when you take Edgar Casey's work, when you take the idea of just channeling in general, astral projection, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, what entheogens do to us with unleashing the divine within, what does that mean
I'm taking
to
notes. I'm gonna look all this stuff up later.
beautiful, and hopefully other people as well, because I'm
Yeah.
still a student of all of this as well.
Mhm.
What does non-dual states of conscious experience mean, and how can we sort of anchor ourselves in the highest morality and ethic of Buddha or Christ or Lao Tzu or Confucius level consciousness, but flower that out on an individual artistic expression to the world around us on a moment-to-moment basis, to ourselves, our families, our communities, the world. How can I still make cool videos but live in a state of non-dual peace, bliss, consciousness. And so that's what I hypothesize as symphonic consciousness, which is what we were talking about a little bit earlier,
Right.
which is where you feel both the ocean and you feel the whirlpool or the storm and the tornado at the same time, because you are that unique storm or that unique whirlpool. You're the unique, tornado or yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And that you're an artist. And you will resonate this most as people like you and me, is that we're artists. And that the more people think of themselves as artists, that's when they realize that they have a unique melody or instrument that they're playing in the symphony, in that oneness. And that your unique gift that you're bringing in the world, that's self-actualization, and self-realization is when you realize the oneness, the unity.
Right.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet. It's bound to happen, though. You know, I mean, yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier with the like the Buddhists and like the next level and everything. It's I think it's fascinating, but I really don't know much about it.
We need to actually invest time as a civilization
Right.
into the investigation of truth, consciousness, awareness, the nature of reality, because what we have is we have a culture of McMindfulness, right? We have
I like that.
we have a culture where, like Sadhguru says, you know, you spend 10 years learning a language, but you want to be enlightened in 5 minutes.
Right.
And so we need to humble ourselves and realize that, you know, I spent 10 straight months from the beginning of 2020 until October before moving to LA alone. Alone and studying the 1,000 most uncommon geniuses that have ever lived, abstracting out a meta pattern, studying the world's perennial spirituality, studying the world's cutting edge sciences, and putting it all into artistic ELI 5, which then gave me a lattice work for me to move forward as a conceptual schema.
So you build a foundation out of what you learn yourself. You know, and that's the whole passion thing. Like nobody would be able to do that kind of thing. Like I wouldn't be a filmmaker still if I wasn't passionate about it. The North Star, you know, and the fact that you do that and then you use that and build your own stepping stones.
Yes,
that's a huge thing, you know, and it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it.
And this is why we have people like there's two things here. When we talk on the program, what at least is happening is maybe, you know, Kyle's getting his moment of exposure to this, and maybe other people are as well. The idea that, okay, what if I literally blocked out a week of my calendar and I literally did a deeper investigation into what is Advaita Vedanta, what is the direct path, the non-dual direct path, or what is the Theravada Buddhism Vipassana style. I haven't read the Old Testament, New Testament. Maybe I should just give those a quick read. Maybe I should watch, Jordan Peterson's dissemination of them in a psychological perspective as well. Maybe I should go and dance the African Vodun tradition. Maybe I should go sit in some of the entheogenic ceremonies that occur in the Native American tradition.
Man, that would be amazing.
And maybe if we sample those things for at least some periods of time, a week or more, and if you can dedicate even more time to truth, that's even better. And then what happens is you basically re-baseline your consciousness to those higher states, and then everything you do from there in terms of your artistic expression, your self-actualization process becomes way more efficient. You become way more in service to others because you realize the self in the other. And then what happens is that you get more clients, more peaceful people around you, more self-actualized people around you. You climb to your goals faster. And this is the second point that I was going to say, which is that, I've been sharing a bit about our animated series in 2021, Chimps, that we're really excited for. Yes. And in 2021, Portalist, the anthology series that we're working on as well. And it's interesting because Kyle is one of those people that I would probably say is one of the more higher up visionaries around the videography space that actually understands what the art of the Portalist would actually entail in making. And so I would say that what happens is that the more that you become self-realized, the more that you strive in a framework for self-actualization, loose, right? Again, loose, but a framework. What happens is you naturally gravitate people in. So in this case, it's like Kyle's like, Portalist is pretty interesting. This is something that I could potentially see as being something popular that I might be able to get behind. And what happens is every time somebody comes on the show, I become more gravitated toward them. Now I understand more about what Kyle's been sharing as his wisdoms. especially around all of this insanity around the layering and the photography, videography.
It all ties in.
It all ties in. And so I'm being gravitated by you and all these other guests that come on the show into your worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, other people that watch the show become gravitated into your worlds, into my world. And that more and more, hopefully, we're co-creating that more beautiful world our hearts know is possible.
Right.
And that's pretty much the essence of this.
Well, I love it, man. I think that's great. You're kind of absorbing the vibrations of everybody that comes on set, and
Yes,
obviously everybody
yes.
you talk to in general, like very good conversationalist, and you know what you're doing.
Thank you,
and
my
I can. You love to learn. You love to give information.
Yes.
And I learned a lot through this thing, and my mind is definitely more open than it was when I came here in the first place. You know.
I love it.
And I appreciate that.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the recognition and the love. And I feel the same way. I'm such a child sponging up the knowledge that is communicated. It's a big aroma of flower, and it's a cross-pollination.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't change. If you think of growing up, don't do it.
Ooh, I love it.
Don't do that.
Retain that childlike awe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can do taxes and stuff, but
Oh my God. Yeah.
we're all, you know.
Okay, I mean, we pretty much touched on everything that I wanted to touch on in the later part of the show, which was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I mean, some of the last things that we could probably talk about are the fact that we both see a very deeply independent, freelance, creative scene emerging, especially with the decentralization technologies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to want to join a union, but at this point, fuck that. Now it's basically an expensive club now, and they don't, it's just my opinion. It's my opinion, but fuck the unions. Everything's going independent. Everybody I talk to agrees, and and it opens up a whole new world. Basically you can do anything. There's politics in the way I work are like I shun them. I don't do like with big groups and stuff. Like that's what I've been talking about. Like you have to work together as friends, as a machine, and as a group of problem solvers rather than a group of separate a group of separate groups trying to make one thing, because in my experience it makes it more difficult, and it's a lot more troublesome that way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If that made any sense?
Yes. Yes.
like art directors sometimes aren't allowed to talk to producers. Sound guys can't talk to these guys.
That's right.
And it's like, what's the point? You're
That's
trying
it.
to make one thing.
Yes.
And if you can't talk to each other about it, then how
Yes.
is it going to turn into anything?
Okay. And this is where the synthesis, I think, happens between the heterarchy, the decentralization, with the hierarchy. And there's a really important synthesis here, because you can't have the data silos that you're speaking about right now, which suck when the audio engineer can't actually talk to the DP about what's happening. And there's data silos, right?
Yeah, data silos.
And then what you want is the interoperability of data, just like between...
Exactly.
like Facebook and Google and Baidu and Tencent and stuff around the planet.
Right.
Just like we want to do that. And just like the way that cells communicate intercellularly in the body.
Yeah.
And the same way that as a countries, that's why we use barges to ship goods in containers across the ocean.
We're in contact with each other. I think that's the name of the game.
Exactly.
It's the oneness that has to happen on set and elsewhere.
Yes. And also with the hierarchy, in the sense of like the DP should be able to, because the audio engineer might have 5, 10, whatever years of experience, but it maybe hasn't actually been the DP for 5 or 10 years like the DP has been, right? Mm-hmm. Director, producer. So then in this example, it would be you want to decentralize as much as you can to get all of the synthesis of the most data points about the knowledge, but then you still want, in terms of some sort of a hierarchical decision to be made about the data from the person that's most synthetic with the data.
So you can't just topple the hierarchical system. You have to have a little bit of that, because, like there are certain visionary directors that, a lot of the movies that are my favorite movies wouldn't exist now without them. Without no movies would really exist without a director. It would be a fucking mess. It'd be a nightmare.
That's
to
right.
try to make something
That's a
without
great
a
way to
director
put
with a solid vision.
Yep.
I think it's very important to have a solid vision. That's the hierarchy, but
But think about this reality. In this reality, we are the actors, actresses, and we are also the directors and producers in a co-creative fashion.
Right.
So there's no hierarchical. The hierarchical one isn't like an individual human. It's what in mathematics we call a strange attractor. It's what a complex system evolves towards. And so we ourselves program that into the reality, but in a non-deterministic way. We programmed it in a quantum mechanical free will way.
right.
And so then we're the actors and
But
actresses
it's still going
on the
towards,
stage.
towards the goal, do you think?
And the goal, the star, is the recursion. So it's the metaverse that we were talking about when we go inward into those indistinguishable virtual infinite worlds to taste new conscious experiences. That's the Godhead star. But our but our path on getting there has been very fluid in water, sand, in the sense of we could have, it's not like the UK had to, ship people from Europe to North America to begin taking over the United States, 250 years ago.
Right.
This didn't have to happen this way. Or like World War II could have played out completely differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
So
yeah,
it's a messy process, like I said.
Yeah.
Like making anything good is a messy process sometimes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. And so we still can play in this messy process. Actually, I like thinking like it's an artistic. It's kind of like
Absolutely,
the big
yeah.
white. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
totally.
in a sense. It's messy and harmonic, and yeah, it's
That's what I think. Tying it back to movies, I think that's what they're losing nowadays. Like how with the way things are done. And like, let's say, I did like an MTV show, like reality TV show, and everything. I would think reality TV would be more loose than like, okay, now you go here and you say these lines in action, but it's not. It's like it's exactly what it is.
yeah, yeah.
So I think the way to do it is like I said, independent is coming back for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
What is
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
your favorite food?
Well, right now I'm feeling a Chipotle burrito. So that sounds really good.
Would you say that that's kind of your go-to?
Not always.
Not always.
I think it's specific. I have very different tastes. It depends on if I want to make something or buy something. I love. I make really good scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
With the caramelized onions.
I love
caramelize
that.
shit.
Love that.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Bacon.
I have to ask a couple questions here. Okay.
Yeah,
First
sure
of
thing.
all, is okay. Let's start with when you go out, right? Chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what you get in your Chipotle.
It depends. If I'm feeling risky, I'll get a bowl, like a burrito bowl, and then I'll get the chips, and you dip the chips in
That's
the bowl.
right. That's right. That's
Yeah,
important.
but you gotta get this hot sauce. Like I don't know,
Interesting.
for some
Hot
reason
sauce,
I'm
yeah.
all about the.
You
Spicy.
like the spicy?
I do like the spicy, but I'm kind of a bitch when it comes to spiciness.
Yeah, I'm a medium.
Yeah, but I love the pain.
The pain's
I'm
fun,
a little
yeah.
masochistic in terms of that.
Yeah,
but
okay.
It's I'll complain about it, but I'll be loving it secretly. But burritos, you can't go wrong with the burrito. Burritos are classic.
We'll skip over some of the other details. Now take me
Okay.
to the scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs.
Okay, so this is when you make stuff. I love making scrambled eggs as well. And there's so many awesome toppings to put in. I like how you pick caramelized onions.
Mhm.
Huge fan of that as well.
Great.
Question, in scrambled eggs, first of all, egg choice I think is very important.
Egg choice.
A lot of people don't realize how important egg choice is. One time, one of my friends told me that if you want to be eating high quality eggs, what you should be doing is spending at least 50 cents on each egg. And I thought that was a very
Wow.
interesting
50 cents on each egg.
on each
okay.
egg. So he says in the US at least, right? In our
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so here's an idea. I like Vital Farms. They're a good one.
Okay.
And I think they're about $6 or so for 12, right? So it's about
Right.
50 cents an
Right,
egg.
right.
But you can tell because when you crack one of the Vital Farms eggs, it's literally the yolk's orange. It's literally fresh and tastes super good. And then if you compare that to one of the eggs that costs like 5 or 10 cents an egg,
Right.
it's nowhere near as delicious. And so I'm curious.
Interesting.
So there's that.
I just go for the biggest eggs I could find because
The largest
I'm a
size.
hungry boy.
You like size.
I like size, yeah, but
Size.
honestly, I've had small eggs that are delicious too.
They're
You know,
good too.
the size doesn't matter. In eggs.
and I love it. And then so are you now? The next question is when you scramble.
Right.
Are you scrambling in a bowl before you
Of course.
pour? And then are you adding any
Seasoning?
milk or yeah,
Milk cream is great.
You do.
Just a little bit
a
of
tad
cream.
of milk or cream?
I do milk when I have because I barely ever have cream.
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, cream makes it even fluffier.
Fluffier?
That adds to the fluff factor of it.
And then you add salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Usually
Okay.
just salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Occasionally there's. I tried the other day. I added some butt rub into
Oh,
it.
interesting. Yeah.
There's a lot of salt in it, so I'd forgo the salt and then add the
yeah,
butt rub.
Exactly.
It was pretty good. I'm not gonna
And
lie.
then you cook the caramelized onions before
ahead of time.
and then at the end when the eggs are almost done, you add the caramelized onions to it.
Yeah.
Usually.
Ideally, you would cook some bacon in the pan beforehand.
Oh, and then that
you
creates
get the grease, and then you can
Otherwise,
caramelize onions.
otherwise I use butter if I
Butter's
don't
yeah,
make
butter.
bacon. Yeah,
barely.
but
beat
I see
butter.
you add bacon to the eggs
on
and
the side.
On the side,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not.
Got
I don't chop bacon up. That's sacrilegious. You know, I just a whole slice of bacon. You know, you get the crispiness. It's
Yeah.
delicious.
Now, do you like under cooking, medium cooking, or well
it
done?
depends. I like parts of my bacon crispy.
Yeah,
I think crispy bacon is one of the best things ever. But
Yeah.
you also have to balance it out. It's like
Yeah.
too much of a good thing is not really.
again,
a good
it's
thing.
the middle path Buddha.
Yeah, exactly,
know.
exactly. So you got to get those little bubbles where the bacon's
know.
not totally done. yet,
exactly.
and those are the best.
Those are the best. I know.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a wrap, folks. That's it. That's
All right.
it. My brother Kyle.
Thank you.
That
Give me
was
one.
so fucking fantastic.
Good stuff,
Thank you,
good
my
stuff.
brother.
Of course.
That was
Thanks
fantastic.
for having me.
Yeah.
Atlas.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Give
my
me
brother. You're super welcome.
It was fun.
I know that was epic.
Yeah.
We got to break down a lot of awesome topics. Guys, again, check out the link in the bio below. It's Kyle's Instagram profile. Check it out. Shaddeau Vision. Also check out Kyle's other work. You can find a lot of it on his Instagram page. You can find a lot of it. Also, it's coming soon. We'll have a new updated website that we'll
I'm
put the
working on
link.
my website
The
right
link
now.
will be in the bio, shadowvision.com.
Shadowvision.com. Yeah.
And then we'll have that also in the bio for when that's ready, and we'll have a lot of the stuff cataloged there of these awesome videos and reels and
Yes.
all the stuff that we were showcasing.
Yeah.
So also, share more in terms of what you learned on the art of video. Share that more with other people. Like we talked about these master classes in photography or videography that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you know people that need to watch this video to get going in those fields, share this with them.
Okay.
Let Kyle inspire them through what he knows through the videos that we shared in the breakdowns, and so they can get started in growing. So share this with them. Like the video, subscribe, comment below with your thoughts.
Yeah.
And then also support the other artists, entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, scientists, engineers, people in your communities that you believe in. Support them and help them grow, support them and help them flourish. You can find Simulation, our show links below. You can help us support us as well. And that's it. That's a wrap, folks.
Nice
We love you
spiel.
very much.
Love it.
Thank you for tuning
Be a
in.
portal for other people, and bring
Boom.
people up like that. Great.
I love it. Be a portal for other people. I love that. That's a perfect way to wrap, my brother. That's it.
All right.